So yeah, we're here. We're going to be talking about Elder Scrolls Online. We got Matt Firor, who's a game director at ZeniMax Online Studios. And before we get started, I want to remind everyone, if you have any questions or you want to interact, you can tweet using hashtag YouTubeE3 or pop into the YouTube chat, and we'll be monitoring it, and we'll pass along any of your burning questions as well to Matt here. So Matt, thanks for taking the time to chat with us this morning.
My pleasure. Day 3 of E3. You know, energy might be a little low for a little bit, but got the caffeine kicking in.
It's been super high energy so far. Chris from Xbox, he had a woo and everything.
Woo.
A very excited woo. Morrowind coming to Elder Scrolls Online. This is very exciting. What is it adding to Elder Scrolls Online? What are we getting when we go back to Morrowind?
Well, we started with you're getting the original map footprint of Elder Scrolls 3 put into Elder Scrolls Online. So we actually have the Elder Scrolls 3 took place in the island of Vardenfell, and that island is now in its entirety in Elder Scrolls Online. We're set 700 years before, so it's a little different, but the towns are in the same place. You still have Vivek, the god that oversees the island, is there. There's a great new story, new friends to meet, new enemies to make. The political intrigue is there, and all the crazy, cool, alien-looking mushrooms and creatures are there. So.
Yeah, absolutely love the look of Vardenfell. Always have. Just like this insanely psychedelic sort of Elder Scrolls environment.
It feels like no other fantasy game. Like it's not high fantasy. It's kind of really weird alien lava volcanoes. It's awesome.
Comes with a new class as well, right?
Yeah, we launched with the Warden, which is our first Druid, Ranger, Hunter archetype class. First new class since Elder Scrolls Online launched a few years ago. He has his signature ability is to have the bear pet, which is kind of his permanent combat ally, which you take with you when you adventure. But he's really that cool nature magic guy that we really love to show off.
I love that Ashley's just off camera. It's like absorbing every word. There she is.
You can come here, Ashley.
Word.
Sit there.
Tell me more about Satanin. Is the mud crab merchant an immortal? Is he going to be there?
So Satanin is still there. It is still, for those that don't know the lore this well, Satanin is the town in Elder Scrolls 3 where you start, you get off the boat, and you start the game.
I'll tag out. I'll tag out. Go ahead and fangirl. Go ahead and fangirl.
We have so much to discuss.
She has 2 microphones. I can't keep up.
It's because there's so much to talk about.
Some guy loves that. So why choose Morrowind for like this? This is the first big chapter, first big expansion for Elder Scrolls Online. Is it because of this level of passion and engagement amongst the community?
It really is. It's like. Yeah, there were some Elder Scrolls games and really good ones before Morrowind, but it was the first big one, the first one on console, the first one that this generation of gamers really got introduced to Elder Scrolls with. And so it's that element of nostalgia that we're really trying to get across, and going back home, going where, showing off what you saw 15 years ago when you played Elder Scrolls 3. Yeah, lots of passion for it, and it's because it's really cool and different.
Cliff racers?
We have cliff racers.
How many cliff racers?
So we actually have we actually added cliff striders, which are cliff racers that walk around on the ground too.
Oh, well, that's not terrifying. See, here's the thing. Cliff racers are both they're the hallmark of Morrowind and also the bane of Morrowind. See, in the 700 years after Elder Scrolls Online, they've become a real problem.
Yeah, they're a pest. Yeah, fortunately, 700 years before they weren't so bad.
Yeah, well. That's a shame because I kind of want. Well, I'm now hoping there's a bunch of them around so I can kill them all.
I know your hate relationship with them. We won't even be talking about Elder Scrolls, and then Ash will be like, "God damn,
Cliff
Cliff Racers." She always brings it up.
So, like you said, this takes place before the events of Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind, but 700 years, a lot of time, a lot can happen in that time. What are gonna be the familiar touch points, and what's really changed or not changed yet?
Yeah, well, fortunately, 700 years not so long in Elder Scrolls time. Lore hounds will know that most of the Elder Scrolls games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, and 4, take place in about 20 years of game time, and then Skyrim takes place about 200 years after that. We're before all those, so we get the cool location, the cities, the political structure, the houses, the Dunmer houses, the tribunal, the gods. So we get that cool stuff that you remember from Elder Scrolls 3, but 700 years gives us the space to tell our own stories with our own political intrigue. You get to experience. You get to help a Morgue-Tong assassin kind of solve a political problem in Balmora, which you'll remember the city from Elder Scrolls 3. So it gives us a chance to tell our own stories in Elder Scrolls Online, but use Morrowind as the backdrop that is so familiar.
So I feel like Elder Scrolls Online has, like you said, it launched a couple of years ago, and it's really ballooned in popularity. I think you all have over like 10 million players.
Yeah, we
now.
announced 10 million in at our E3 event just a couple days ago.
I mean, that's crazy huge.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Yes.
What is it like? What do you think that secret sauce is that's like drawing people in and making them stick around?
The Elder Scrolls is awesome. I mean, as an IP, it is a deep well that we can draw from to add new awesome areas like Morrowind to the world. But we've added the Imperial City, we've added Orsinium, we've added a Thieves Guild Dark Brotherhood area. The Dark Brotherhood area takes place in the Gold Coast of Cyrodiil, so if you played Oblivion, you'll know and love that area. Imperial City is obviously from Oblivion as well. So we have these great areas and stories we can tell. And of course, on the system side, since we're an online game, we make continual changes as we go, and we react to player feedback. And a lot of the feedback from the early days of Elder Scrolls Online was make it more Elder Scrolls. So we did things like removed the importance of leveling from the game. So you can group with whoever you want. It doesn't matter what level you are. You can go anywhere you want in the world, and the game scales you to whatever level the area is. So you don't have to worry about that, which is much more true exploration Elder Scrolls experience.
Yeah, because the last several titles, the mainline Elder Scrolls titles that have come out have featured that sort of leveled monsters. So wherever you go, the enemies, the wildlife, and so on is difficult relative to your current level, so you're not locked out of anywhere.
Right, and that's what we did with what we called the One Tamriel update last year. And after that, the game is now much more social because you guys have played these games before. If you played a game for 3 years and you're trying to get your buddy into it, you can't really play together because one's really high level, one's really low level. We solved that problem with One Tamriel because everyone's essentially the same level. You can play with whoever you want, whenever you want.
So I saw a great question here that came in via Twitter. It's from Kaylee Dian, who's asking, for someone who hasn't played Morrowind, how easy is it to pick up the lore? Like, if a new player jumps in, are they going to be totally lost, or how do you address like those issues?
Yeah, it's actually great question, because we designed Morrowind because One Tamriel is Morrowind is built on One Tamriel. This is a perfect time to jump in for new players because new players get to experience Morrowind at the same time as experienced players, so you don't have to worry about someone being ahead of you. It's a good time to jump in. We have a new tutorial. You can experience Morrowind from day one of the game. You don't need to be high level to do it. But yeah, if you never played an Elder Scrolls game before, Morrowind is still awesome. Like it's instead of seeing it, for the second time or as nostalgia, you'll see an awesome game world with really different things than you usually see in fantasy games. Like there's really no trees, there's giant mushrooms and lava, and all the animals are insects, and it's a cool area which just feels different from other games. And yeah, this is a good time to get into it.
We've got an interesting poll here. I just realized that we're running at live at e3.com, asking our viewers, what do you like most from an MMO? And surprisingly, dungeons and new gear seem to be pretty close to each other, pretty neck and neck.
Wow, that is closer than I would have expected.
PvP, a distant third there, but it's always the thing in these games, right? Is the gear, the loot. Yep. It's like, what do you have?
And you get the best loot in the dungeons. So so they actually go hand in hand together. And in Morrowind, of course, there are some great dungeons. You'll find them in some of the places you found them in Elder Scrolls 3. But yeah, there's new dungeons, new loot, lots of cool things. We have monster masks, so there are really high-level monsters around the world that you need a group to fight, and you can go on daily quests, and you can have the chance of getting the head of that monster to wear as a mask. So people collect them and show them off.
Morbid, I like it.
Yes.
Can I still ride a bug between towns?
You can. We have silt striders, and you can get on a silt strider and you go to the next town. We also introduced this really awesome dwarven spider mount. So it's like imagine the dwarven spiders. You can actually have one as your mount now and scuttle around the world driving your own dwarven spider. Yeah,
and so for those who aren't familiar with Elder Scrolls, the sort of the dwarven stuff in this game is very different from what you would expect if you're familiar with more Lord of the Rings type fantasy.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of mechanics.
Yeah, the dwarves are
the
dwarves or the Dwemer in Elder Scrolls died out long ago, and all that's left are their mechanical constructs. And they were very heavily populated in Morrowind, so you find a lot of Dwemer dungeons with these cool mechanical things in them. And yeah, you can get a spider, which is this little creature, and you can now drive one around if you want.
Man, I get a mechanical spider car. We're cool.
So you mentioned that you wanted to make it easier with your one Tamriel update for more experienced players to play with new players. That way that you don't have as much of a level gap.
Yep.
Addressing that. What are other ways that players have helped shape your development since launch and shape the direction of the game?
Yeah, we have a very active community that gives us lots of great feedback. The leveling was one thing, but one of the major things in the early days was make the game feel more, I'm going to use the term Elder Scrollsy, but make it more exploration so I don't have to go on quests to do things. So we added things like the outlaw justice system. So you can go steal things, you can kill people, take their stuff, kill NPCs, take their stuff, and then we have a whole fencing, underground economy fencing system where you can find an outlaw refuge and fence your stuff. But of course, if the guards catch you, they will destroy you.
Is that a booming skooma trade?
There is you can actually find skooma and sell it as part of one of the random objects that you steal off people. But yeah, it's really cool. We have people that just go into the game and steal things and fence them. That's their experience in Elder Scrolls, like in Elder Scrolls Online.
There's something that happens in every Elder Scrolls game. It's a phenomenon, and that is no matter what type of character you end up building, you end up like through play through. Just in over time, you will become a thief archer.
Well, we definitely have the thief down, and obviously, and obviously we have bows too. But we actually have a pretty wide variety of builds in the game. So any class can use any weapon or armor, just like any other Elder Scrolls game. But since we're really heavy, we have a heavy PvP element in the game too. People tend to go towards either offensive, defensive builds, and so some of them have bows, some don't.
Yeah, and so Elder Scrolls Online, the model for Elder Scrolls Online has changed quite a bit since it released. Yep. And so for those who haven't necessarily kept up with the Elder Scrolls Online model, do you want to just give a quick update on how it works now versus how it worked at launch?
Yeah, so basically it works like any other Elder Scrolls game. You just buy it, and you don't have to spend another cent, and you can play it for as long as you want.
So there's no monthly subscription fee?
There is an optional monthly subscription if you want it that gives you virtual currency and some in-game buffs and bonuses. And then, of course, we have a virtual currency system and a crown store to buy some cool customization stuff.
So you also announced some other DLC coming out later this year, right?
Yeah.
Do you have any more?
We never stop. We ship updates about every 12 weeks, and so the two DLCs coming out in the third and fourth quarter this year are Horns of the Reach, which is a dungeon DLC. If you saw the poll there for people that want more dungeons.
More dungeons.
Yeah, we have a dungeon DLC coming out. Yeah, coming out in August, and it's set in the Skyrim type areas, and they're based on the Reachmen. If you remember from Skyrim, they're kind of the evil cult of druid type people. And then in the fourth quarter, we have the Clockwork City, which is in Morrowind, but you don't have to own Morrowind to get in it. It's just regular DLC. You get it as part of your optional subscription or just buy it. And that is where you get to go to Sothis Hills, Clockwork City, and have a great adventure exploring that.
So that seems like a grueling development cycle to constantly be, working on new product. You said every 12 weeks?
Yeah, you say gruesome, I say awesome.
Well, grueling is actually what I meant. Just like it's constant. But I guess.
But also gruesome. It is a bloodbath in the break room.
I mean, it must be a labor of love for everyone working on it
It is.
Really
we have the cadence down. We have a great team. They're used to doing this now. And some DLCs are bigger than others. Just so we have some build in a little bit of downtime. But yeah, we have a lot of people playing this game right now, and then we want to make sure that there's lots of stuff for them to do, and we keep the game fresh and ready for them to jump in.
Cool. Yeah, I think that sounds really exciting.
Now, we actually have some more Bethesda coming up, too. We're going to be talking about some Bethesda VR stuff, which we're very, very excited about.
Yeah.
So
I love VR, so I'm excited to see what's going on there.
Gus is a slut for VR.
you got to stop saying that.
Sorry. I can't.
No, don't shame me.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
It's very exciting, and Morrowind is available now.
It's available now. You can get it at, it's available for Xbox, PlayStation, PC, Mac, and then Horns of the Reach comes out in August, and Clockwork City will be out in the fourth quarter.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.